back in limbo. Bad day for a hangover. Get your filthy fucking claw off my trailer.
I will suffer, I will burn, let hate prevail. Enslave my soul, but I'll never surrender.
Hi, I'm Rob Cram, and today we're going to take a look at the DmC Devil May Cry preview build, thanks to Capcom allowing us to play through half of the game's story mode. Forget everything you've seen or heard about DmC. Sure, the new look Dante might be a dark-haired, wise guy, but then again, so was Dante in the other games. More importantly, forget the demo. Please, just erase that from your memory. Okay, it wasn't that bad, but having played the game, I can't believe Capcom chose what they did to showcase the game. There's some freedoms in the demo, but frankly, the opening level would have been killer. Without spoiling things, the game's story starts out as expected, and if you've played the demo, you'll see insight into the basics of the game as Dante joins forces with his brother Virgil. The thing about Dante is, to begin, you find this obnoxious, arrogant and cocky little brat who shifts in and out of limbo, slicing and dicing his opponents. But what's really clever is how the story unfolds, and more depth is added to the character without losing his charms. There's a potential love-hate relationship with the character to begin, but as the story starts to build momentum and more is revealed about Dante's motive and past, one almost forgets how he's been presented in the opening moments of the game. There's a real foreboding element of chasing a unified goal, and in context of taking on one of the high demons, makes for a compelling and driving story to wade into. Aside from Dante's looks, the gameplay is perhaps the area that needs the most scrutiny. Ninja Theory's take on combat does feel eerily similar to their other recent offering, Enslaved, complete with slow motion finishes and dramatic camera angles, but most certainly has the flow and feel of Devil May Cry. Dante is a powerful Nephilim, fusing angel with demon, so players are never really left feeling underpowered, or not on default difficulty at least. What's perhaps the most remarkable aspect of the gameplay is the fusion of combat and navigation, with the former being a lot more accessible. The navigation seems to be left to puzzle the player, keep them on the toes and remind them that to be the perfect demon hunter, one has to be able to keep up the pace too. This means jumping, grappling bits of the environment, performing air dashes and generally jumping about the warped and inside out in limbo locales. For some, the constant element of movement might annoy, but it does make for a welcome distraction from the actual combat, which comes thick and fast. The combat feels a lot more refined, and whilst there are several buttons to master, players can get by with the basic moves. What becomes the most overriding factor once players become accomplished is looking at ways to take out enemies with style and whilst keeping up the high combos. The two grapple moves, which pull towards or lunge Dante to, are integral parts of the combat and make for some genuinely gratifying moments. There's an air of satisfaction gained from clearing out rooms with all manner of beasts. Is simply well worth it. Players can look at a situation and contemplate how to dispatch the enemies contained within. There's a real free flow about the combat, and that's well refined here and rewards players who turn it into a bit of an art form. At any time, players can also hit training and practice combos on a dummy demon. The poor lost soul does take an eternal beating, but is ultimately quite fun. With the combat being wicked and the ease of use fluid, the only real potential gripe was with the game's levels, which are somewhat linear by design. There are a few twists and turns one can take to look for hidden items, but mostly the path is easy to follow. The constantly warping and surreal limbo world is a spectacle in its own right, but somehow something is lost in terms of the player being able to identify with the world. In this regard, the demo level does present a more normal looking game, yet things do get mightily crazy in Limbo, which somewhat takes away an element of familiarization. It's brave for Ninja Theory to create such a far out world, but in reality it does make more sense, and hopefully the rest of the game isn't too jarring and out there. That said, in terms of originality, the game's environments are spectacular with some really cool moments, although sadly the gothic styling of the original seems absent. The game's overall look is classy, featuring some excellent character models and soft tones, creating a very stylized look. As for the audio, despite saying Dante in one of the videos, Australian actor Tim Phillips does a really good job with his performance as Dante, making for a much more rounded character than has possibly been presented thus far in the trailers. A pleasant surprise and one that will work out well for the English voiceovers. One can't preview DmC without talking about the extra difficulties, which unfortunately are locked in the preview build. Naturally, there's easy, normal and hard modes on offer right off the bat, but the others seem a lot more interesting that will please the DmC faithful, including one-hit kill modes and probably the toughest, where enemies are powerful and Dante dies in one hit. While these are not new to the series, it's good to see them here. Default difficulty is challenging, but perhaps a bit too fair for experienced players. DmC features the side missions as well, which are unlocked in-game by finding keys. Some might require a replay of the level to unlock, but there's a fair few and involve taking out enemies under various conditions and even things like navigation speedruns. A look at the game's menu also reveals costumes, which can be unlocked and purchased from the Xbox Live or PSN marketplaces. DmC has come under a lot of fire, and being honest, the demo hasn't done the game any favours. Why, Capcom? Why? That said, there's a real compelling story here filled with demonic happenings and some cool lead characters. Coupled with some neat history and background info on Dante and a decent slice of freeform combat, limited exploration and navigation, and you have a likeable game which sucks you in right away. But really only opens up properly around halfway when Dante and crew begin to put the squeeze on Mr. You-Know-Who. The best advice given here is DmC is every bit as cool as the previous games, with a lead character that grows on you over time amid some awesome opening sequences, something that is obviously deliberate and somewhat clever. The only real negatives are some long loading times which will no doubt be improved when installed to the hard drive. DmC is ultimately fun to play and even more rewarding to master, and therefore a game well worth keeping an eye on whether you're a fan or not. DmC releases in January 15th and will be a great way to start the gaming year. I'm Rob Cram, thanks for watching.
Since that horrific attack, it has come to light that Dante is involved in the terrorist organization called The Order. I have a message for The Order. The whole world is looking for you. Every cabin, on every street corner, every police force in the country and worldwide. But we will find you. We will destroy you. It's only a matter of time. This is Bob Barbas of the Raptor News Network. Just doing God's work.